Good afternoon, fellow Namibians, compatriots, and patriots. Today is the 2nd of August, the same day in 1957 that Andimba Toivo ya Toivo, together with others on 35 Somerset Street, formed the Ovambo People's Congress, the forerunner of the liberation struggle in Namibia. 63 years later, a group of young Namibians and many those that felt the pressure of the poverty and sufferings of our people, after the elections of 2019, came together to say enough is enough, to form yet the final movement that brings about the changes that our nation so long have been crying for. Over the years of our sufferings, many generations have come up with ideas, with proposals and unity to try and seek a solution to the socio-economic difficulties that our people have been facing. Many of those generations are no longer with us anymore. Many of them, especially at this time when our nation has been ravaged by the evils of COVID-19, where so many people are mourning and so many people are still suffering because of that, we are still left to be able to carry forward the torch of liberation, liberation from poverty, liberation from corruption, liberation from the failure of successive governments that were supposed to bring about the resolve of a prosperous Namibia. In the past 5 years or so, many of us experienced a situation where our country was no longer able to survive. Our economic situation has fallen down. Our leaders betrayed the nation. They betrayed those who have sacrificed for the ultimate independence of our country and continued to enrich themselves. Throughout that period, a lot of Namibians have been crying for a new political home, a road that will be able to pave the journey towards the resolution of our difficulties, to bring about socio-economic development in our country, to ensure that we can empower our youths, to ensure that we can empower our women, to ensure that we can lift out our people from poverty, those who have been living in the villages, suffering because our government has failed to provide for them. We have been faced with a situation where we have failed to look at what exactly is it that Namibia is made of. We have failed to make programs that are able to be implemented by a conscious group of dedicated Namibians. What we had so far in government, at all echelons of government, is corrupt officials, corrupt leaders. No wonder we still have got people imprisoned because of their constant corrupt activities enriching themselves. The rule of law, instead of being implemented by those that we trusted with our vote, has been broken. A nation that is not anchored in the rule of law anymore cannot survive the onslaught of corruption. Many of our people thought that we need to have a rule of law to ensure that we progress in developing this country. But we have been stagnating for the past 10 years, and the situation is getting worse and worse. We haven't been prepared to look after ourselves when the COVID-19 arrived at us. But we can look back in the last year to say that yes, something new has happened. A wind of change has been blowing across Namibia. Since the 2nd of August, 2020, when a few people came together and decided that it's time to form a new political home, it was extremely daunting to think about how can a new political home under the same climates of political pressure take place. But we can reflect now that many of the political homes that attempted to unseat the torture and sufferings of our people by the current administration have failed. Many of those in opposition have failed to have any impact whatsoever on the current administration and its neglect of the people of Namibia. But on the 2nd of August, it was the IPC, the Independent Patriots for Change, that came about and heralded the change and the hope of the Namibian people. On that very day of the 2nd of August, 2020, a group of us gathered together from all regions, from all constituencies of Namibia, to come and constitute ourselves in a formidable political force that has seen the shaking of the current administration, the shaking and the fear in the current opposition political parties. It heralded a new wave of enthusiasm, a new wave of aspirations, a new wave of real prospect for a future. As we constituted ourselves and selected our leaders, we are pleased to say that within a short period of time of 3 months, we were able to field candidates across the constituencies of Namibia. We were able to field candidates across the local authorities, all 57 of them, and we were able to succeed in securing a Rongo in the hands of IPC. We were able to succeed in ensuring that we have got regional councillors and 2 members of parliament, and we were able to succeed in ensuring that we have got, out of the 57 councils, that we have got 37 councils occupied by IPC members, either singly or in command of those councils. We have seen within a short period of 3 months that when a people are determined to remove the yoke of oppression, to remove the sufferings from the people, those people will always succeed in doing so. And I'm proud to be the chief patriot of the Independent Patriots for Change, proud to have had a leadership that was determined and still continue to be determined to march forward to ensure that Namibians have got a political home that securely will be able to ensure a prosperous future for our people. Many of the people that joined the Independent Patriots for Change joined it because it provided them with a hope, it provided them with a future. Many of the young people truly believed in the Independent Patriots for Change and continue to do so, will be the party that will be able to form the next government in 2024. Our patriots in various of our institutions, in the organs of the party, everywhere else in the branches, in the constituencies, in the regions, were able from January onwards to constitute themselves. And we have traveled with the National General Secretary of our party from Windhoek to every single region and to every single constituency to assist in the establishment of our governing structures in those regions and in those constituencies. Together with our chairperson, Brian Black, our National General Secretary, Christine Auhamus, and myself, Panduleni Itula, we were able as a collective leadership to streamline the structures that will be able to create a formidable political force amongst our people. We have traveled to towns and villages, and we have seen so many people with open arms welcoming us in their villages, knowing that the dawn of a new beginning has just arrived in Namibia. We are absolutely determined to ensure that Namibians of all walks of life, from every ethnicity, from every tribal grouping, from any and every racial grouping, have found a home where they were welcome to be able to share in the ideas of what the Independent Patriots for Change really stands for. We came together as a national, transnational, and also a formidable force to come together in recognition of what is taking place, to ensure that we form a political movement, truly national, transitional, and able to institute change within our country. We are proud to be able to be represented by our regional commanders in Kunene, Oshana, Oshikoto, Ohangwena, Kavango East and West, Zambezi, Omaheke, in Erongo, Ochodonjupa, in Komas, Karas, and in Hardap, from all walks of life, people that never even thought that they would be politicians. And we are pleased to know that we are represented in many of the local authorities as well by formidable men and women that has been fighting to ensure that the legacy of corruption that has been left in those local authorities is cleaned up. And we have been starting with the audits to clean up Walvis Bay, Oranyemund, Ludrets, Windhoek, Okahanja, Usakos, Omaruru, Karibep, Arandes, and Hentis Bay. And we have also been instrumental in cleaning up Omthia, cleaning up Onipa, Ondangwa, Ongwediva, Oshakati, and in various of the other local authorities such as Otsandi, and in Otapi, in Oshikuku, and also in Okongo, and even in Rundu and Katima Mulilo, not to forget Okahao Kenjebo, where we have formidable councillors determined to serve the people. And these councillors are not in there as IPC councillors, but they are working together with other councillors to ensure that the end of corruption is really realized in our governance structures in this country. And they are doing a formidable job to ensure that our people receive the services that they need. As we march through this day, where this young baby on the political scene of Namibia is only 1 year old, every single Namibian, within a short period of time, was able to realize the freedoms that many of our people died for, was able to realize that you can actually establish political movements in this country and be able to march on to emphasize the need for this government to realize that what is now at stake is the fact that the independent Patriots for Change shall always be the one that will take over the government in 2024. We need to recognize, fellow Namibians, that we all depend on each other. As they say, no man can be an island, no woman can be an island. We are interdependent. Our interdependence requires us to function in a manner in which we follow certain rules and laws. That's why we as independent Patriots for Change prescribe to the Namibian Constitution to uphold it, to respect it, to ensure its implementation, and to ensure the implementation of its laws. Only a society that is governed by the rule of law can prosper. A society that neglects the rule of law will never prosper. Only a few that are in the governing structures that are supposed to implement the rule of law shall prosper as they neglect the rule of law. And we have seen that taking place amongst many of the so-called leaders of this nation. What we need to remember, however, is that IPC is not a one-man band. IPC is governed by a collective leadership that makes collective decisions. The Chief Patriot is the custodian of the IPC Constitution to ensure that the rights of the members, that the aims and objective of the party is implemented. And we have seen in recent months and recent weeks that the IPC is not going to tolerate any element whatsoever of corrupt practice or corrupt conduct. Neither shall we tolerate the destruction and the breaches of our people's rights. We believe in the cardinal principles of the IPC, where all of us are equal in front and before the IPC Constitution. We believe in grassroots participatory democracy. We believe in justice. We believe in dignity of everyone to be respected, irrespective whether you are poor, whether you are not so well endued with intelligence, whether you are weak or rich. We believe in the integrity of every single human being and in the humanity thereof. And we believe, above all, in honesty, transparency, accountability in public office. And we have demonstrated that for those of our members that occupies public office, they will remain our representatives. They will be accountable to the party and to the electorate of our people. where our people are not saved as they entrusted us with the mandate to save them, the party will not sit down and scratch his head and say, I wish. We will act, and we will act decisively, and we will act swiftly to ensure that anyone that betrays the principles of the party's constitution, that betrays the trust that the electorate has in IPC, shall be dealt with swiftly and justly to ensure that the leaders that we are molding to take over from this current administration will be leaders that will be serving the people of Namibia. Because if leaders start eating first, then the people will suffer and continue to suffer. And this is why we emphasize that when our leaders at all levels goes into the governing structures of our government, their duty and responsibility as our representatives is to serve the people of Namibia. Naturally, we are taking over administrations where the civil servants have been serving the current regime, the current government, which has been infested with corrupt practices. And as a consequence of that, it's going to take a while for us to be able to clean up the local authorities. We still have got the entire government to clean up. And we need to promise everyone that those that committed crimes and betrayed the electorate and betrayed the wishes of our people who voted for them in power shall not escape the writ of justice. In an IPC-led government, we will go back. We will go and dig who was responsible for allowing these corrupt practices to take place that denied our people the wealth that they have. We will go back. If anyone was in office and responsible for arresting, investigating these people, we will go back and ask you to verify whether your actions was an accomplice, made yourself an accomplice to the crimes so committed while in office. So whoever is in office now, you will not escape the wreath of justice when IPC government takes over in 2024. There will be no one above the law and will ensure that our people's justice shall triumph. As we look around our country, we've got a country well endued with wealth and natural resources. But at the moment, we are one of the poorest nations where we are begging even for few vaccines to come and vaccinate our people. We've got our mines, we've got our agriculture, we've got our fisheries, we've got our tourism, and we've got our human resources. Those five cannot be exploited unless we spend money with very good planning on providing water, electricity, education, health, and have enough capital to ensure that we exploit our mineral resources, such as our metals, mines, that will be able to benefit from our vast wealth of marine resources, that will be able to harness our rivers, waters, and that from the sky to ensure that our agricultural hub is well planned and well executed. We can feed ourselves in Namibia. But we have seen administration upon administration failing to go to the basics of agriculture to ensure that we are able to feed ourselves as a nation. For over the past 30 years, we are begging and importing food. We will be able to utilize our fauna and flora to ensure that the tourism industry in this country flourishes, to provide jobs for our young people, many of them who have trained in the hospitalities and yet are unable to be employed. Many of our young people have qualified from universities and yet they've got no jobs. They are going back to their parents who sold and spent all their money on their education, again to ask the parents for a $10 to get into a taxi. We have to re-examine our educational system to determine and to make sure that this educational system serves the needs of the Namibian people in exploiting our 5 primary sector resources, and to ensure that we educate our people appropriately to be able to be responsive to the needs of our people and our country. As a nation, we've got a small population. We've got a vast country, sufficient enough for everyone to have a piece of land. And yet, 995,000 of our people live in informal settlement. And those informal settlements are not getting smaller. They are getting larger. Yet, we have spent a lot of money in building a dam in the south near Keetmans. And that water will remain in that dam unless someone comes up with a program to be able to utilize that water. It is our prediction that for the next 3 years, the water in the Nectar Dam will not be used for anything. And this is the reason why IPC local authority councillors have been urging the other councillors, both from SWAPO, LPM, PDM, and UDO, to adopt Section 30, where we can make bricks factories. If we can only go down to the Nectar Dam and start making bricks and speak to Trans-Namib and say, can you bring us the cement from Ochivarongo all the way down to Keetmans, and as you go back with bricks on your trucks. To ensure that we deliver bricks alongside the main court of Namibia to Oshikango, so that we can start building our people homes, council homes. And in so doing, we've got enough bricklayers in the locations, in the informal settlements. In so doing, we are providing our people with jobs, bricklayers. And we can take our VTC educated electricians and plumbers to be able to get jobs. And the Namibian dollar will be able to circulate while we are building our people accommodation. Imagine in Windhoek alone, if we were to build 10,000 homes for our people in informal settlements, and they rent directly from the municipality as council houses. At the moment, they are paying 1,200, 1,500 in homes that has got no electricity, no sewage system, no water. If we can provide them with these basic amenities and restore their dignity, and we charge them 1,000 per month for that accommodation, we will be able to generate 10 million Namibian dollars for 10,000 houses and even more. We'll be able to build enough houses to give our young people a home, something they can call a home. And if we do that throughout Namibia, we'll be able to build 200,000 units of homes everywhere around this country to make sure that the 995,000 Namibians are accommodated properly. We will be able to think right straight as we take over in 2024, that we will look at the contracts of all the mining companies in Namibia so that we may renegotiate it to make sure that the Namibian people get an advantage of the exploitation of the Namibian resources. Because in terms of Article 100, all those resources belongs to the Namibian people. But we have gone into agreements that denied us the revenue that we so much in order for us to develop. We are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. We have not even passed the second or the third in Namibia when you look around in many of our activities. We should be able to encourage our young people with the minds and technological advancement to be able to assist in advising us how best to develop our country. We'll be able to build this nation. We'll be able to exploit our wealth to ensure that our people benefit from it. If we only think about mining, agriculture, fisheries, human resources, and tourism, and we think about water, electricity, capital, money, health, and education, we'll be able to do what they did in Southeast Asia. Some of those countries like Japan has got no mines, and yet they are flourishing. They've got no resources, yet they are flourishing. And yet a country like Namibia, when we gained independence, they started giving jobs for comrades. There will be no jobs for comrades or patriots in IPC. There will be jobs on merits, pragmatically decided upon, to ensure that those are people that will be serving the nation. At the moment, every single minister that was an ex-minister is sitting with millions at their homes in their retirement, yet the nation is suffering. In IPC, you must trust that we will have no mercy to those who are looting our wealth. And what you need to recognize is this, that the IPC president is the only president who is not paid a salary at the moment, who is also not benefiting anything from the government. We are not getting any resources. All the services that we deliver them free. We ensure that we sacrifice and that our people benefit before we benefit eventually. We will be the last to have a little peace and let the nation be the first to be saved and to benefit from what is in their country. As we march through these months towards 2024, may I encourage every single patriot that your duty to the people of Namibia is to ensure that every single citizen is a member of IPC. As you march through your regions, your constituencies, your street committees in your branches, the message is very clear. We are preparing for the next 3 years to become the government in 2024. And as a government in waiting, we will scrutinize our office bearers in the local authority, and they have to ask themselves the question, am I fit to be a government functionary? As we come up towards November, we'll review every single councillor of the IPC. We have already collected their reports as to what they have done, because we just didn't send them there without us evaluating and without them being accountable to the party that they represent. We will be, and we are in the process of evaluating their conduct, and those that didn't perform well, no, we will not do what other people used to do, putting people there for 5 years just to come and realize that you haven't achieved anything. We have sent out a survey to the public to tell us what did our councillors achieve. And if you have not achieved, it will be absolutely right for us to get somebody else who will be able to serve the people at a better enhanced rate than you have done. Yes, all our councillors excelled really to the best of their abilities. But we need to make sure that patriots get the experience of being in the local authority, being able to debate, being able to contribute. And as a consequence of that, we decided a long time ago that all our councillors have got a 1-year term that is reviewable. Some of them will be able to continue. Some of them will be told that it's better that you sit down so that we can put somebody else there. Perhaps they will excel better. And in fact, a real patriot will say, up to here, I can't go any further. Let's get somebody else to carry on because I tried my best so far. As we get closer to 2024, the task will become much more daunting. We came into this knowing that we've got the ability, we've got the energy, we've got the power and the following to make sure that in 2024, we will be the victorious nation that has got a government of the people from the grassroots. As Namibians, we need to forge together in strength to ensure that we rid ourselves from the group of corrupt officials that has been running Namibia for a long period of time. There are many of them that are seeking the mandate of the Namibian people. IPC is not the one that wants confrontations. We work in harmony with all Namibians. And that's why we do not sanction demonstrations and all sorts of things. We communicate. We don't seek to ridicule anybody. We don't seek to breach anyone's dignity. What we try to seek is a cohesive, common, and collective approach to governance of this country from the local authority, in the regions, and eventually in 2024 in the central government. We believe that all Namibians, from all walks of life, from all other political parties, will have something to contribute towards the development of this country. And we believe that when the time comes, IPC will be seeking Namibians on merit, not because you are a comrade or a patriot or anything like that, but we will look at what you can deliver. We'll look at what you have to be able to deliver. And that will be the criteria that will determine the men and women that will take over in 2024 in a new dispensation of justice and a government of the people, led by the people, emanating from the grassroots as we elect our leadership. We have already started the process to select our presidential candidate for 2024. One of us shall emerge victorious to be able to represent the party in the presidential elections in 2024. Already in the regions, our National General Secretary has sent down a message for the people to start selecting that candidate. And when the time comes, we'll give that news to the public. But what has been taking place in the IPC headquarters? The IPC headquarters, led by the Chief Administrator, Josephine Gabriel, together with a team of committed young people. These are people who worked for IPC at its inception without a salary whatsoever. And sometimes they slept in that office, especially during the preparation for the elections. The IPC office has been a formidable administrative machine that has seen us establishing ourselves around the whole country and giving our merchandise to our people to be able to demonstrate to the public who we are. And that office continued to function under the capable leadership of Patriot Josephine Gabriel, and the administrator, National General Administrator, the National Secretary, Christine Auhamus. What has the president been doing? We have been inundated with requests for meetings from people outside this country and inside the country as well, to try and explain to them what shall IPC be in government. In addition to that, being new to the scene, we've made visits to various ministries in this country, starting off with the Ministry of Home Affairs, went to the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Youth, we went to the ECN, we went down to the GIPF, NAMCOR, Agribank, Transnamib, and many other institutions of government, so that we get a clue, an idea. How does the government function? What is the difficulties that the government has been facing? It's very good to criticize whilst you are on the outside. We needed to be able to prepare ourselves. And I urge all the patriots with the ambition to become operators in the new government in 2024 to make sure you acquaint yourselves with the functions of responsible and accountable governance, to make sure that our people will be able to trust you with the duty and the mandate to govern this country into prosperity. Not only prosperity in the words, but tangible changes that will be able to impact upon the lives of our people. As we look around our country and as we've traveled, the party has seen some devastating poverty in many of our regions, especially Kunene, Kavango East and Kavango West, and even parts of Zambezi. We have also seen the same poverty in areas of Hardap and Karas as well. We have seen affluency in certain areas, but we need to make sure that this government in 2024 will be able to distribute our resources equitably and equally to our people, to ensure that our people benefit from what is truly theirs. And as we march through that, we have also established a team to ensure that we start sound policies. Policies that will be able to be implemented and policies that will be able to benefit the people of Namibia. Our team responsible for policy development have been seeking from Patriots to submit their written policies on various aspects of our governance and governance. and we search from the public, whether you are a member of the Patriots for Change, if you have got what it takes to give ideas of how we collectively can develop Namibia, we will welcome your suggestions, because this is not going to be a government of IPC with IPC policies alone. It will be Namibians determining your own future. Self-determination was the reason why we sought independence. And that self-determination is not going to be restricted to IPC members alone. No, it will be every single citizen, a real patriot that sees the need and the nature of building a nation, to make sure that you give your contribution. This is not going to be a one-man, one-party show. It will be a part of everyone contributing towards the development of our country. Give us 10 years so that we can bring about the change. At the moment, unfortunately, as we march into government in 2024, we'll be faced with a debt that by that time could well be into the 200s. At the moment, sitting at 150 or more, we are facing a situation that we will be coming into government with nothing to spend. And Namibians will have to understand that the country has been looted, that we have been borrowing too much, that we have not been able to manufacture anything to export in order to increase our revenue. Our export-import balance is -6. And that means that we are nowhere near to be self-sufficient. We have already seen during the corona epidemic that we relied a lot on South Africa. We have seen when the riots broke out in South Africa, we were all trembling as to whether we are going to continue to live. But if we do not become our own masters and start serving our own people and start manufacturing and concentrating on our agriculture, fisheries, and our minings for the benefit of every single citizen, then we will be doomed. But as a land of the brave, a nation proud enough, coming from Maharero, Ipumbuya Shilongo, Hendrik Witbooi, our Hompas, our Indunas, and many of our leaders, we will not be able to shame them, all those who sacrifice for this country. We'll be able to stand up and shake off the corruption that has been tainting our image in the world. And we'll be able to emerge as a victorious nation. As we go through our first year, we mark a year where we truly achieved in a short period of time. No political party was formed within a short period of time of 3 months and emerged victorious. SWAPO of Namibia scored 76,000 votes in the local authorities. IPC scored 45,000. LPM scored 25, with PDM less than 20, and the others in the region of 3,000, 8,000, etc. So within a short period of time, we were able to garner a lot of votes, almost well on the other side of half of what the ruling party that has been in existence and ruling this country for 30 years. For 3 months, we managed to get close to become the official opposition in this country. But we are not in parliament. We are not in parliament because we did not participate in the national elections. But come 2024, we will be in parliament, not as an opposition, but as a governing political party for the people of Namibia. As we continue for the next 3 years, your task and my task is to ensure that we educate every single Namibian to take up the banner of our country that has been dragged through mud by those who corruptly administered this country. Lift it up and let it fly high, because you are a proud patriot, and Namibia is all we have, all of us. We know that those that tried to sell it piece by piece were happy to do so, but we said it is not for sale. Those that said Namibia is impossible to rescue again, we know that we can save it and me and you, as patriots, will be able to march together with our fists all in air, ensuring that the strength that we derive from each other, the strength that we have from across our diversity, is the one that will rescue us to formidably form a government of national unity, equitably distribution of wealth, education for our people, jobs for our youth, opportunities for our women and men, to ensure that we manufacture and we continue to deliver the resources to our people's benefit. And with those words, we shouldn't be able to say a happy anniversary, but we should be saying a hard-working anniversary where we shall continue to march. And unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 restrictions, as a principled political party who believes in the rule of law, we are not advocating that our members, patriots, break the rules and laws. They are there to save us, to save this nation, to keep us healthy. And therefore, we want you to put on your T-shirt with the emblem of IPC, celebrate the 1 year in your own quietness. I know that the 10 number of people for gathering will continue to try and save us, but celebrate the 1 year of achievement. But use it as a time of reflection. What did you achieve as a patriot? What did you do as a patriot? Did you continue to advance the march towards the victory of our people, or did you betray us? As we march towards 2024, it's the task and duty of every single member of IPC to be able to contribute to that formidable political force which is a home to every single Namibian of every single ethnicity, tribe, racial grouping, a truly reflection of our diversity and colorfulness as a nation. Thank you very much for listening, and we hope that we will continue to march until victory in 2024. We are a government in waiting. We shall be governing our people to prosperity. Thank you.